Hi again, happy Friday. I trust you've had a good week so far. What news then from Scavenger headquarters? Let me start with, as usual, what I read this week. First up was Gateway by Frederick. I know it's a classic and everything, but I found this to be a frustrating read. For what felt like half the book, nothing really happens. We flip back and forth between the present and the past. In the present on Earth, Bob Broadhead, the protagonist, is visiting an AI shrink. He is evasive. He wants to avoid answering the difficult questions and he kind of plays with the AI. There's clearly something or some things traumatic in his past that he's fully aware of but doesn't want to confront. And we get this sprinkled throughout the book. Siegfried being a Freudian AI, there's inevitable mother issues and fear of penetration, but those are a distraction and rather boring for you and me reading it, I think. The real deal is lurking in the shadows and it's only really revealed towards the end of the book. And to my mind, Pohl really dragged this out. The thread running in the past tells the story of Bob as he arrives at Gateway, which is an alien relic space station carved out of an asteroid. I can summarise by saying that he repeatedly chickens out of going on missions. But why? The jeopardy is that no one knows where the spaceships will go, how long it will take to get there, whether their food supplies will run out, and what will be found when they get there. Successful missions are few and far between, but fortunes can be made by those crews if they bring back valuable knowledge or artifacts, and that's what Bob's really after. So that thread plays out until it does eventually get to the traumatic event which Siegfried is trying to get Bob to confront in his therapy sessions some decades later. For me, there was too much mincing about on Gateway or in the shrink's office and not enough spaceship action. So worth a read if you haven't read it, but not my favourite. Next was Empire of Silence by Christopher Rocko, and this is the first book in the Sun Eater series. I feel like I've been living under a rock or something because this series has blown up in the last few years. And I gather that the sixth and final book of the series is out later this year. And what can I tell you about this book? In short, if you are partial to a big canvas space opera and you haven't already devoured this series, you must read it. I really enjoyed it. So we follow Hadrian Marlowe, who is the scion of a planetary aristocracy, the ruling family. Hadrian is a young fellow, a studious fellow, good with languages, and feels constrained by the expectations of his father and of his class, his tier of society. For various reasons, he quickly falls out of favour, and his younger brother is being lined up as heir, much to his disappointment. His father does a deal that would mean that Hadrian gets sent off to the Chantry, which is the official religion of the empire, to be a priest and ultimately a hated inquisitor. I won't try to summarise the complex plot of a 600-page epic, but suffice to say, Hadrian isn't having any of it, and he makes plans to escape. This escape goes badly wrong, and the course of his life changes dramatically. Empire of Silence has clear influences, there's no denying that, but I think it wears them loud and proud. There's more than a bit of Dune in there, what feels like the entire plot of the movie Gladiator, and a touch of Book of the New Sun perhaps, a bit of Star Wars even. I didn't care. In fact, I revelled in it. I had fun spotting the influences. So in Empire of Silence there are mysterious alien relics, actual aliens, genetic modification, neural laces, spaceships, a galactic empire, a human diaspora scattered across 40,000 colonised worlds, an interspecies conflict. So far, so space opera, right? But there are also distinct flavours of epic fantasy. There are dynastic families, a rigid class structure, arranged marriages, exotic people from non-imperial sectors of the galaxy, a quest, swords, sandals, centurions, you name it. It is quite the giddy mix, but I think Rocko pulls it off with some panache, and it's very much my cup of tea. I loved it. I thought it was a very impressive debut novel, and I need to get hold of the others. I absolutely will be revisiting this world. It's top-notch stuff. Being a bit of a chunker, I thought that Empire of Silence might consume my reading week, and it pretty much did. I finished it yesterday, and I managed to make a start on another book last night. More on that to come. It's really good. You should read it. Channel business next then. Subscribers are at 2382, which is 38 up on last week. Welcome to all you new folks. I'm John and we do science fiction around here. There's over 120 videos in the backlist. You should check it out and tell your friends while you're at it. I had big plans as far as content for the channel. I had big plans for this week and it mostly went completely to pot. I need to have a look at my rather ambitious content schedule, I think. It turns out it's pretty hard to fit 3 videos into a typical week with the weekly update on top of that. particularly if they involve some research or other preparation. I think that means that I'll be dialing it down a little bit. Most weeks, I think that there'll be 2 videos plus the weekly update with an occasional bonus 3rd video if time and the nature of the video allows. Anyhow, excuses aside, what did actually happen this week? On Sunday, there was another look at space opera, this time the 1980s. I had fun with this video. We're back in the era that I'm most familiar with, the 1980s and slightly forward of there, which is my formative reading years. Having said that, there were several books in here that I'd never heard of, so it's jam-packed with book recommendations for me too. On Thursday, 2 days later than advertised, I did a compare and contrast on 2 1970s space operas that I've read recently, The Centauri Device by M. John Harrison and House in Drift by Brian Stableford. I had planned to take another look at the 2021 Dune movie, but I haven't had time to rewatch it, never mind to prepare the video itself. So that will have to wait. Comment of the week, there were several candidates, but Brian Edwards is the winner, and his comment was in response to my mini review of Involution Ocean in last week's weekly update, actually. Brian was musing on the combination of whales and narcotics, moving from there to money made from whaling here on Earth. I didn't know, for example, that glycerine, which is an ingredient of nitroglycerine, which in turn is used in explosives, comes from whales. Or I'm sure it's not the only source of glycerine, but they were hunted in order to get glycerine because there was good, if gruesome, business to be done in this ingredient during the 20th century for the various wars. Anyway, I learned something new. Every day is a school day. Thank you, Brian. And thank you to everyone that takes the time to comment on my videos and on the channel. I really appreciate it. I really love to read them. Well, what about the book buying then? It's been a good week. I've been quite clicky on the online front. Several books have arrived or are winging their way to me. I've added to my growing Adam Roberts collection. There's a James Smythe. I have a Pan lozenge or 3 to add to my collection. I've completed a Charles Stross set, although they haven't arrived yet. And generally, I've bought too many books. So, a good week. To add to the fun, for the first time this year, earlier on I popped out to my local treasure trove, the Oxfam bookshop in Woodley, returning with about 15 books. I did take my camera and a mic, so there will be some shelf browsing footage at some point, and obviously I will share all the books that I've acquired recently in a book haul soon. So what have you bought this week? Do share. It helps me to feel that I'm not alone in my addiction. So let's take a look at the week ahead. On Sunday, or possibly Monday, I have a busy weekend ahead. I think that there'll be that look at the Dune Part 1 movie, probably. On Tuesday, there'll be a book haul. I have a bit of a pile, as discussed, to clear, so strap in for that one. I think it's going to be a good one. And on Thursday, if there's time, I plan to scour my shelves for my favourite cover art and run through those with you. I'm not going to run through all 1,500 books in my library on camera. Don't worry, I'll do that in advance and I will come with the 25 that I like the best. As far as reading goes, in the coming week, I made a start yesterday on Stone by Adam Roberts. I take the covers off when I'm reading them. So far so good. It's early days. I've only read about 40 pages. When I finish that, I need to hit Deathbird Stories. I thought I might have time to do that this week, but I didn't, so I'm going to get a chance to look at that, I hope, next week. Maybe just 1 or 2 stories. And then I'm going to tackle Orbitsville by Bob Shaw, a Big Dumb Object book. And then I shall finish the week with something light and frothy, my second Honor Harrington book, which is allegedly better than the first one, which I enjoyed. So I'm looking forward to this. Depending how I get on with those, I will have 5 books left on my TBR pile for February and about 6 days to read them before the month is out, which sounds a little bit ambitious. Although 4 of them are on the slender side, so maybe I have a chance. Oh, I nearly forgot. My monthly ration of Spotify audiobook listening hours renew at the weekend, I think on Sunday. So I should be able to get back onto Matter by Ian M. Banks, which I was about halfway through when I ran out of hours. It's been a couple of weeks, so I hope that I can just pick up where I left off. It's a reread, so it should be possible. As always, thank you for watching. Have a fabulous weekend, and until next time, goodbye for now.